September 19th, 1944. Lorraine, northeastern France. A thick gray fog clings to the fields near the small village of Arracourt. Visibility barely 30 yards. The smell of damp soil mixes with exhaust fumes as the engines of the U.S. 4th Armored Division idle beneath the morning mist. Captain Abram Abe Ellis peers through the periscope of his M4 Sherman, listening to the faint hum of the radio net crackle with static. "Visibility's garbage," one voice mutters. "Good," Ellis replies quietly. "It's garbage for them, too." Across the fields, German Panzers are on the move. The 111th and 113th Panzer Brigades, freshly formed, led by officers who once boasted that their Panthers could burn a Sherman from over a mile away. They've been ordered to strike deep into Patton's line and retake ground lost in the summer drive. Many are young, confident, and certain this will be a short fight. They are wrong. The fog that morning is so dense that even the broad, angular silhouettes of the Panthers vanish into ghostly shadows. The crews advance slowly, hatches open, eyes straining through the haze. In their minds, the Americans will panic, retreat, or be caught off guard. But what they don't know, what they couldn't imagine, is that the Americans have turned the battlefield itself into a weapon. Hidden in tree lines, behind haystacks, and along shallow ridges, the Shermans wait. Each crew has their gun trained on narrow approach lanes pre-sighted in the days before. The terrain around Arracourt isn't open tank country. It's a patchwork of low hills and hedgerows that favor quick repositioning and ambush tactics. Lieutenant James L. Leach, commanding a Sherman from the 37th Tank Battalion, whispers into his throat mic, "Hold your fire until they show their teeth." His gunner, Corporal Fields, keeps his hand steady on the elevation wheel. The 75mm gun sits poised like a predator in the grass. Then, the low rumble of Maybach engines emerges from the mist. Panthers, 4 of them, moving in formation. Their long 75mm guns swing left to right, scanning. The first Panther halts, its commander standing half exposed, binoculars raised. He sees only fog. "Target, front, 300 yards, Fields breathes. "On the leader," the loader calls. "Fire." The Sherman's gun barks. The recoil shoves the turret back, the sound drowned instantly in the fog. The round strikes the Panther's side armor, one of its few weak points. Flames burst through the engine deck. The German tank lurches forward, then stops. Its commander's scream echoes for a second before the fog swallows it whole. "Move, reposition," Ellis orders. The Sherman slides back, pivoting to a new firing point. The American tactic is clear. Never stay still, never give away the same position twice. Across the line, confusion grips the German columns. Reports crackle in broken radio messages. "Enemy fire from flank. We can't see them. Pull back and regroup." But the fog makes coordination impossible. Panthers fire blindly into the mist, their high-velocity shells slamming into trees, earth, and sometimes their own comrades' wrecks. Inside his Panther, Oberleutnant Karl Brenner curses under his breath. "This is madness," he growls, gripping the cupola rim. He'd been told the Americans were retreating, that this attack would be simple. Now his formation is in disarray, his tanks isolated, visibility near zero. And somewhere out there, Shermans, those cheap American toys, are hunting them. He slams the periscope shut and shouts, "Turn left, find higher ground." But as his Panther climbs a small rise, another flash cuts through the fog. A second Sherman 76mm gun, an upgraded variant, fires from less than 200 yards. The shot pierces the lower glacis. The Panther erupts in orange flame. By mid-morning, the fog begins to lift slightly, revealing a grim tableau. Burning Panthers scattered across the French fields, their black smoke twisting upward into the gray sky. The Germans have lost the advantage. The Americans, once underestimated, are now ghosts in the mist, striking fast, vanishing faster. Captain Ellis watches another Panther explode in the distance. He lowers his binoculars and murmurs, "Let them laugh at the Sherman now." The battle for Arracourt has only begun, but already the myth of German armored invincibility is starting to crack. The morning haze that once concealed both sides now becomes an American ally. By 900 hours, elements of the 37th Tank Battalion are operating like invisible predators, advancing, striking, then fading into cover before the German gunners can return fire. Captain Ellis's Sherman slides into position behind a hedgerow, its tracks grinding softly through the wet earth. "Gunner, tank, 1 o'clock, 400 yards, he whispers. Through the mist, a silhouette appears, broad turret, long barrel. It's a Panther, moving cautiously. Ellis knows that from the front, his 75mm gun can't penetrate it. But he also knows something the Germans don't: their flanks are vulnerable. "Traverse right, slow, steady, hold it," he says. The Sherman inches forward just enough to get a side angle. On the mark, fire. The cannon roars. The shell slams into the Panther's side armor, right below the turret ring. The enemy tank shudders, then a plume of black smoke rises from its hatches. Its crew scrambles out, choking, waving white rags. "Good hit," says Corporal Fields, reloading. Ellis nods but doesn't celebrate. "Let's move before his friends find us." The Sherman backs away, slipping into another tree line. Elsewhere across the Arracourt sector, similar duels unfold. Lieutenant Leach's platoon engages a column of 5 Panthers advancing toward Juvilais. The Germans, confident in their superior firepower, line up broadside, an error that cost them dearly. Leach's tanks fire in rapid succession, using short, aimed bursts, ducking behind terrain between shots. Within minutes, 2 Panthers burn, the rest retreat blindly into fog. From the air, American spotter planes, Piper Cubs with unarmed observers, circle cautiously above the mist gaps, relaying positions to artillery. 3 Panthers rode east of Basange, one observer calls. Seconds later, 105mm shells whistle down from hidden batteries, bursting among the German tanks. The survivors scatter again. On the German side, frustration mounts. Major General Hasso von Manteuffel, commander of the 5th Panzer Army, receives fragmented reports of Panthers disappearing, formations dissolving. "It's the weather," one staff officer insists. "The fog has trapped our brigades in pockets." Manteuffel shakes his head. "No, it's not the weather, it's their tactics." He's right. American doctrine, refined by bitter experience in North Africa and Normandy, emphasizes flexibility and initiative. The 4th Armored Division's tankers operate in small, semi-independent groups, using radio coordination to outflank heavier opponents. German brigades, by contrast, are designed for massed, coordinated assaults, and in this fog, coordination is impossible. By midday, the battlefield is a chaos of smoke and shifting silhouettes. The fog lifts just enough for the smell of burning fuel to thicken in the air. Here and there, the wrecks of Panthers lie twisted in fields, still littered with the morning's dew. Captain Ellis halts his Sherman atop a low rise overlooking a shallow valley. In the distance, he sees a shape, 5, maybe 6 Panthers, regrouping on the far side. "They're coming again," he says quietly. Same line, same arrogance. He radios battalion command. "Eagle 1 to control. Panther force approaching from East Ridge, requesting artillery mark." "Copy that, Eagle 1, comes the reply. "Hold your position. Air support inbound." Minutes later, the faint rumble of aircraft engines grows louder. P-47 Thunderbolts sweep in from the west, their wing-mounted rockets streaking toward the German formation. Explosions light up the valley as Panthers are torn apart by direct hits. Ellis watches in awe, feeling the concussion even inside his tank. "Guess they didn't expect that," says Fields. Ellis exhales. "No, They expected a Sherman they could bully. They're getting a war they can't understand. By dusk, the 4th Armored Division has destroyed more than 40 German tanks. The Americans, though outnumbered and technically outgunned, are in full control of the ground. As darkness falls, the fog returns, rolling in thick and silent, wrapping the battlefield in a ghostly shroud. The glow of burning tanks flickers faintly through the mist. Somewhere beyond the ridges, the surviving German crews regroup, shaken and uncertain. For the first time in the campaign, many of them realize the Sherman isn't weak, it's adaptable, and the men inside it are fighting a different kind of war. But the Battle of Arracourt isn't over. The next day will bring a counterattack and a desperate German attempt to reclaim their honor. September 20th, 1944, the second day of battle. A cold drizzle falls over the rolling fields of Lorraine, turning the soil into slick ribbons of mud. In the gray light of dawn, German tank engines growl once again. Reinforcements from the 111th Panzer Brigade have arrived. Fresh Panthers, newly painted, their crews confident they'll avenge yesterday's humiliation. In the pre-dawn briefing, their commander, Oberst Wilhelm von Rauch, slams a map onto the hood of his staff car. "The Americans caught us by surprise," he snaps, his voice sharp. "That ends today. We push through Arracourt, seize the ridge, and crush their armor before they regroup." His men nod grimly. The plan? Advance through the fog and overwhelm the Americans by sheer mass. But the fog that conceals them also blinds them. At 0700, the Panthers roll forward, 50-ton beasts, their engines rumbling like thunder under wet skies. Through their periscopes, visibility is barely a few dozen meters. The commanders rely on compasses and guesswork. Somewhere ahead, hidden beyond the mist, the Shermans are waiting once again. Captain Ellis and his platoon have repositioned overnight, guided by scouts and radio intercepts. They know the Germans will come along the same narrow road network. They always do. "Same playbook, same pride," Ellis mutters, sipping cold coffee from a tin mug. "Let's show them what overconfidence costs." He climbs back into his Sherman, now camouflaged with branches and mud. Engines off, wait for my mark. Around him, the rest of the platoon sits silent, turrets pointed toward the valley. The first sign of the enemy comes not by sight, but by sound. A deep metallic clanking echoing through the mist. Then a faint silhouette emerges, followed by another. Ellis counts under his breath. 1, 2, 5 Panthers. He raises his hand. Hold, hold. The lead Panther suddenly stops, its commander popping his head from the hatch, scanning with binoculars. He sees nothing but fog, and then, too late, a muzzle flash. Fire! The Sherman's 76mm gun erupts, and the round smashes into the Panther's side plate, detonating its ammunition rack. The tank explodes violently, throwing its turret skyward. The rest of the column halts in confusion. Another Sherman opens fire from the flank, striking the second Panther near its fuel tank. Flames engulf the vehicle instantly. "Reload on the third one," shouts Ellis. The loader slams another shell into the breach. "Up! Fire!" Another explosion. The Panther's formation disintegrates. Radio chatter fills with panic. "Ambush! Americans left and right!" Ellis knows they'll try to retreat. "Cut off the tail," he orders. One of his wing tanks moves forward, firing 2 quick shots into the last Panther in line. It bursts into flame, trapping the survivors between burning wrecks. The ambush lasts less than 6 minutes. When it ends, 5 German tanks lie destroyed, their hulks glowing orange through the fog. Ellis exhales, his voice low. That's what happens when they underestimate farmers from Kansas. His crew laughs weakly. relief mixed with disbelief. Meanwhile, a few miles away, Lieutenant Leach's platoon faces a similar scene. German forces attempting to flank Arracourt from the north run into dug-in American positions supported by tank destroyers, M18 Hellcats. Light, fast, and deadly, the Hellcats dart between hedgerows, using their superior mobility to deliver flanking shots against the heavier Panthers. One Hellcat crew, commanded by Sergeant Ralph Potts, manages to destroy 3 Panthers in 10 minutes, their 76mm guns punching through German side armor like paper. "They're too slow to turn," Potts shouts, weaving his open-topped vehicle between burning hulks. "Hit 'em while they're blind." By late morning, the Germans are again in disarray. Radio discipline collapses. Units call for air support that never comes. Some Panthers, running low on fuel, are abandoned mid-field. From his command post, Major General John S. Wood of the U.S. 4th Armored Division studies a growing list of destroyed enemy tanks. "They're throwing Panthers into a meat grinder," he says to his staff, "and our boys are the ones turning the crank." The fog begins to clear once more. The valley reveals a graveyard of armor, twisted wrecks, scattered helmets, smoke pillars rising like gray tombstones. Ellis climbs from his tank and stands on the turret, surveying the destruction. "They came in laughing at our Shermans," he says softly. "Now they know the truth." The truth that war isn't won by the thickest armor or the longest gun. It's won by those who adapt faster, think sharper, and refuse to die quietly. Still, the German command won't give up. Reinforcements are moving again, this time backed by Luftwaffe reconnaissance. Tomorrow will bring a new phase of the battle, one that tests not just tactics, but endurance. September 21st, 1944, the third day of the Battle of Arracourt. The sky over Lorraine finally clears. The fog that had been the Americans' greatest ally now burns away under a pale morning sun. For the first time in days, visibility stretches for miles, and with it comes danger. German aircraft, FW-190s and Ju-87 Stukas, emerge from the eastern horizon, sunlight glinting off their wings. Their mission? Support a renewed armored thrust toward Arracourt, destroy the American tanks, and reclaim the initiative. On the ground, Captain Ellis's platoon is dug in behind a ridgeline. The men squint upward at the faint whine of engines growing louder. "We've had it easy with that fog," Ellis mutters. "Now we fight on their terms." The first bombs fall moments later. Columns of dirt and fire erupt near the tree line, showering the Shermans with soil. "They've spotted us!" the loader yells, ducking as shrapnel rattles against the hull. Ellis slams his fist against the radio. "All units, disperse! Keep moving! Don't give them a line!" The Shermans roar to life, engines straining as they dart from cover to cover, weaving through craters and debris. Above, American anti-aircraft batteries open fire. Tracers streak across the sky as 50 caliber guns hammer away. One Stuka dives too low, its wailing siren echoing through the valley, before a well-aimed burst from a half-track tears through its fuselage. The bomber erupts into flame, spiraling into the fields below. "Good shooting," Ellis shouts over the radio. "Keep that up." But the air assault is just a beginning. On the ground, the 111th Panzer Brigade pushes forward again, regrouped and reinforced. Panthers roll down the slopes in formation, their guns flashing as they exchange fire with the American positions. This time, the battlefield is open. No fog, no concealment. The Germans expect an easy victory. Yet, the Americans have learned too much to break. Lieutenant Leach's platoon holds a ridge west of Lise. "We're not given this ground," he growls. "Set range, 800 yards, aim low." His gunner fires. The shell slams into the lower hull of a Panther, sparks flying. Another Sherman fires seconds later, catching a second tank mid-turn. Leach's radio crackles. "This is Red 2. We've got 2 more Panthers closing from the south." "Copy, Red 2. Fall back 50 yards, then flank right. Make them chase you." The Germans advance boldly, unaware they're walking into a crossfire. From a concealed ditch, 2 Shermans emerge and unleash a volley at near point-blank range. Both Panthers explode, their crews scrambling out in panic. The American tactic of flexibility and decentralized command is working again. Instead of fighting head-on, they draw the Germans into open ground, where coordination breaks apart and artillery can strike freely. From the rear lines, the U.S. 191st Field Artillery Battalion rains shells onto the German approach routes. The roar of 105mm howitzers rolls across the countryside like thunder. Explosions blossom around the Panthers, tossing mud and debris high into the air. By midday, smoke covers the valley once more, this time from burning tanks, not fog. The Luftwaffe sorties fade as American P-47 Thunderbolts sweep in for revenge. The sky becomes a deadly dance of contrails and fire. Ellis wipes grime from his face, shouting above the chaos. "They thought we'd break once the fog was gone." His gunner grins. "Guess they didn't see what we can do in daylight." By late afternoon, the German offensive stalls again. Nearly a dozen Panthers are left smoldering in the fields, and the survivors pull back toward Chateau Salins to regroup. The Luftwaffe, depleted and running on fumes, withdraws after losing several aircraft to American fighters. That evening, as the last echoes of battle fade, the men of the 4th Armored Division climb from their tanks, exhausted but unbroken. The sun dips behind the horizon, casting long shadows across a landscape littered with steel and smoke. Ellis stands beside his Sherman, staring at the wreckage. "They said we were driving tin cans," he murmurs. "Guess these tin cans can fight." In just 3 days, the Americans have turned the tide. Outnumbered, outgunned, yet victorious through cunning, speed, and relentless will. But the German High Command refuses to admit defeat. New orders are already being written. Arracourt will burn again before the week is out. September 24th, 1944, the 5th day of battle. The hills of Lorraine are blackened with soot. Burned-out Panthers sit like tombs scattered across the countryside, their steel husks twisted and charred. Crows circle above the smoke columns, while the faint clatter of small arms fire echoes in the distance. The 4th Armored Division has dug in deep, repairing tracks, refueling, and tending to wounded men. The Shermans, many scarred and dented, bear the signs of brutal fighting: shrapnel pockmarks, scorched paint, and hastily welded patches. Yet their crews are in good spirits. They've survived days of relentless assaults and lived to tell the tale. Inside his tank, Captain Ellis sits on the radio headset listening to fragments of intercepted German chatter. The enemy is faltering, supply lines cut, fuel nearly gone, and morale sinking. "They're running on fumes," Ellis says, lighting a cigarette. "One last push and this sector's ours for good." But the Germans aren't done yet. Out of desperation, General Manteuffel orders one final concentrated attack, a last gamble to pierce the American line. He hopes that sheer force and determination might reverse the tide. At dawn, the Panthers move again. Only a fraction of their original strength remains, perhaps 20 or 30 tanks, many short on ammunition. They advance across open ground, firing sporadically, hoping to break through by shock alone. The Americans are ready. From concealed positions along a ridge near Lise, Ellis's platoon watches the enemy approach. "Range 1,200 yards, he says calmly. "Wait until they're in the kill zone." The air is tense, heavy with anticipation. The German column rolls forward, their silhouettes growing larger against the rising sun. Then, Ellis's voice cuts through the radio. Fire! The hillside erupts. Dozens of Sherman guns roar in unison, their muzzles flashing orange. Artillery joins the chorus, shells bursting amid the Panthers. The valley transforms into a storm of flame and thunder. The first wave of Panthers shatters instantly. 2, 3, 4 tanks destroyed in seconds. The survivors attempt to maneuver, but the Americans have every approach zeroed in. One Panther turns to retreat, only to be hit squarely on its rear deck. The explosion hurls its turret 30 feet into the air. Lieutenant Leach's platoon swings wide, executing a flanking move they've rehearsed for days. From the enemy's right, his Shermans pour fire into the exposed sides of the German tanks. "Keep pressing, don't give them room to breathe," he shouts. By mid-morning, the attack collapses completely. The Germans, trapped in overlapping American fields of fire, begin abandoning their tanks. Smoke blankets the valley once again. The once feared Panthers now sit crippled, their armor glowing dull red from internal fires. Ellis watches through binoculars as German crews flee on foot. "They're finished," he says quietly, "completely finished." In less than an hour, the battlefield falls silent. The 4th Armored Division holds every position it began with, and more. The Germans leave behind over 80 destroyed tanks and vehicles. American losses? Fewer than 30. As the day ends, General Patton himself visits the front, his jeep bouncing over the churned mud. He surveys the wreckage, nodding in satisfaction. "The Krauts brought their best," he says, turning to his officers, "and our boys whipped 'em with so-called junk." That night, Ellis's crew rests beside their tank, eating cold rations under the stars. They're too tired to celebrate. The adrenaline is gone, replaced by quiet disbelief at what they've survived. "Think they'll ever stop calling us the weak ones?" asks Fields, the gunner, staring into the distance. Ellis shakes his head slowly. "No," he says, "but they'll stop laughing." Over the next days, the Battle of Arracourt becomes a legend among Allied tankers. The engagement proves that tactics, coordination, and courage could overcome even the most advanced enemy machines. The M4 Sherman, mocked as the Ronson, the Tommy Cooker, earned new respect. German officers later admit they underestimated the Americans, calling Arracourt a lesson in humility. Their vaunted Panthers, designed to dominate open battlefields, had been undone by weather, terrain, and the relentless ingenuity of their opponents. The fields around Arracourt eventually grow quiet again, reclaimed by grass and wind. But beneath the soil lie the remains of 100 burned-out machines, a silent reminder that war is never just about weapons, it's about the people inside them. And in those fog-filled days of September 1944, it was the men inside the Shermans, calm, stubborn, and fiercely determined, who turned mockery into mastery.